All right, it's time for another staff spotlight. And this time I have one of the few members of staff who has been around the game longer than I have. There's not many of those.
Yeah, I'm ready.
So welcome to the show, Milkbark.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been around since pretty much the week it was able to have multiple accounts on the game.
So our first question then is, how did you learn about Farm RPG? And then how long have you been playing?
All right, so I've been around the Firestream games for quite a while, and I was always a beta tester on a lot of his games early on, early access from the first few people, and so this one was no different. I got a message and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about starting a new game," and he told me a little bit about his ideas, and then a week later he said, "Hey, I started a new game," and next thing I know he said, "Hey, you can create an account on my new game," so I hopped in, and I've kind of haven't put it down since that day.
It's I think you're the first person on the staff we've talked to, other than myself, that really found the game that route by Firestream, saying, "Hey, come try out this thing I'm making." Most of them have been, other sources as the game's grown, from Reddit posts or iOS recommendations and things.
Yeah, I was on early enough where I was like, "Hey, can you promote this on Reddit? Hey, can you give this a review on iOS?" So it was fun to be on that back end and just watch it grow from, I think I was the 19th account, most of those being Firestream's test accounts, and then watching it grow to where we're probably going to hit 120,000 at the time of this recording.
Yeah, I have no idea when this segment will get released, but at the time of recording, that's about where we're at.
Yep, pretty exciting.
All right. Now, if you had one sentence and one sentence only to describe what Farm RPG is, and I'm sure this is totally different now than when the game first started, how would you describe Farm RPG?
All right. You'd think after listening to all your podcasts that I would have prepared for this question, but I didn't. Maybe I should have. So Farm RPG is an idle, incremental farming game with a MMO chat for trading and shenanigans.
There we go.
I think that might be an actual, no jokes involved on that one. I think that's about as close as I can think of it.
That's pretty good. I think if we were to take that, write it down, and throw it in Grammarly, it might throw up a few errors.
It'll be okay.
It'll be all right.
Run-on sentences are a thing for a reason.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. It's near and dear to my heart right now. My wife is taking her first English composition class, and English is like her third language.
Oh, that's awesome.
We're going through sentences, and it's like, this is a colloquialism in Czech, but we don't really say it in English.
Oh, that's incredible. All right. Well, congratulations to Mrs. Bhelogan.
All right. Next, we want to know, where did your Farm RPG username come from?
All right. I knew this one was coming. I did prepare for this one. So my name, everyone wants to know where Milkbark came from. They're like, Milkbark, that's so weird. Where, like, it almost makes sense, but it doesn't. So Milkbark was actually my brother's username. This was back in the early 2000s, late 90s even, where he kept trying usernames. He tried his name, he tried this, and nothing would work. Mm-hmm. And he didn't want to throw in a bunch of letters and capitalizations. And so he was like, what are just two random things that have nothing to do with each other? And those were the two words that came to his mind: milk and bark. And he doesn't know why, but he used that username and it worked. And then about 2 years later, I was trying to come up with my first Xbox Live username, and nothing I liked was working. And I thought, hey, it worked for him. Maybe it will work for me. So I put Milkbark, and there it was. There was my Xbox Live username. He found out like 2 months later when he tried to make his Xbox Live username, and he came in second place. So he ended up having to pull some other random stuff, and he actually, now his username that he's been using for years, he doesn't want me to share it because he didn't want that to go out there, but he came up with his name just based on of some random scene from the show My Name is Earl, and it has worked ever since. He actually plays Farm RPG, but I'm his only friend, and he'd like to keep it that way.
All right. Well, I guess he didn't make you arm wrestle him for it or anything like that to keep that username.
Yeah, there was nothing he could do. I was already playing Halo 3 under Milkbark, so he just had to think of something on the fly at that point.
Possession is 9/10 the law, I guess.
Exactly. There you go.
All right. Well, in addition to Farm RPG, and as you've mentioned, some of Firestream's other games, what kind of games do you like to play?
So I've heard this podcast enough times to know that the correct answer is what other games?
Right.
Right. No, but in all seriousness, I have an on and off relationship with Ark Survival Evolved. I go into these phases where I will play it nonstop for months and then not play it again for months. And right now I'm in one of those phases. Besides that, I obviously I love Halo. I've been loving that since it came out, and I'm playing a little PUBG here and there sprinkled in. And besides that, I play a little bit of everything, but those are probably going to be my main squeezes right now.
I have Ark. I got it when it was being given away free on the Epic Game Store, but I haven't played it yet.
It's a time sink. It's the father of the grind. There's something about having to babysit something that takes 26 hours to mature. And it requires a team of people if you want to get sleep or if you want to get up. There are things in that game that there's the only thing you can do is give it time and love, and eventually you may have something incredible by the time it's over. So it's definitely a time sink, and it forces you to have reliable teammates, and I'm a big fan of that. Tribe mates, I guess I should say.
That's fun. Maybe I will check it out at some point if I ever get over playing Mountain Blade Bannerlord.
If you ever find yourself needing to waste 16 hours a day, I would recommend it.
All right. If I find that situation.
Yeah. One of these days.
All right. Next question is, what is one thing that you wish the Farm RPG community knew?
One thing I wish they knew. Oh, that is about me, about the game, about the developer, about staff, or just in general.
It's your wish. What is it?
My wish. Okay. I wish. All right. I'm going to try not to be insulting here. I got to come up with a real answer. I was going to say something. I wish they knew how to spell. No. The Farm RPG community, I wish they knew just how much the staff actually does have their best interest at heart, and how much Firestream wants to make a game that people find enjoyable. Every comment that comes through that is, I wish this wasn't the way, or I can't wait for this, or even more negative comments that maybe even accusatory or somewhat entitled comments. We read those, especially Firestream. He takes them to heart, and there's somewhat of an obsession over hearing that feedback and wanting to add it to the ever-growing list. I mean, I'm sure his to-do list has over 1,000 things on it now, and he's just got to find the priority for what is the most important thing to come out next, and then get sidetracked and put in something silly. But that's okay too. So I wish the community just knew how much we discuss their feedback, and even the negative feedback. We may hate to hear it, but we still act on it and speak on it more often than not.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a sentiment we've heard from a lot of the staff members and even some of the players at this point. All right, last question. Tell us an interesting fact about yourself.
I don't have any interesting facts. That's the
that's a lie. That's a lie.
All right, so I currently I work from home, and obviously I play a lot of online video games, and we have fiber optic. Now, what's interesting about that, because I know a lot of people have fiber optic, we live in a town of fewer than 3,000 people. I look out my windows and I see miles and miles and miles of forest. I live next to no one in the middle of the woods here in rural Tennessee. Somehow I have fiber optic cable, and I wear that as a badge of honor. I don't know how I was so blessed to find it here, but I do. And I find that to be a very interesting fact. You wouldn't think to have 400 megabit upload and download when you're surrounded by 1,000 square miles of woodlands. I think that's pretty cool.
That far out, that is pretty cool. Yeah. We had not quite that much space. We used to live in Georgia, out in the middle of nowhere, halfway between Athens and Atlanta. And I loved it. We had a 2-acre square lot, a large house. I had my own drum room in the basement, so I don't have to worry about bugging my neighbors. And
Nice.
needless to say, we had to downsize in home size and lot size a lot when we moved to Florida.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I get it. And honestly, where we're at now, I mean, we're probably in a place where we're about to get a different place. Maybe a little more grass and a little fewer trees. I don't know, less, fewer, one of those. We would enjoy to just not step out onto acorns and broken limbs every day, and actually have some lush green grass under us. So hopefully that'll be coming down the line here pretty soon.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Milkbark, for taking some time to be featured on our staff spotlight. We're glad to have you here.
Of course. And one question you didn't ask was non-electronic games. Man, I own the board game room. I'm just going to throw that out there. So whatever you got coming down the line, let me know. I haven't played D&D in 3 years, but I would love to pick it back up. All right, that's all. All right, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. It is time for another Mechanics Deep Dive. I'm your host, Bhelogan, and with me is coderanger.
Glad to be here.
This deep dive, we're going to dig into a topic different from the rest of them that we've done, in that it isn't really for endgame players or the maximum way to do something in the game, but really starting the game. And that question is, how do you make your first million silver?
Yeah, so a lot of people sort of early on in the game, they even if they're, let's say, the more curious players will have read through the library, they found the Sawmill Silver page, or they've been pointed at it from help chat. Whatever it is, they know that they really want to work towards getting a sawmill and starting on that loop of make boards, make sturdy shields, sell them, make more boards, which really pumps out a lot of silver. But to do that, you need to buy a sawmill, and a sawmill costs 1 million silver. And while to us long-term endgame players, that might seem like a vanishingly small amount of silver, it's a lot for someone just starting out. So a lot of people sort of struggle early on with making enough to buy their sawmill. So the sort of the core loop, the easiest answer is you start. It's the same as you do for making more crafting XP. You make iron cups. So first you explore for stone. You use those to make iron cups. You sell the iron cups, and you repeat. The best early source for stone is Small Cave, but it's real close in drop rate to Small Spring, so whichever you prefer. If you've got some early help requests that need materials from one or the other, pick whichever sort of works better for you.
Yeah, just really quick, between those locations, Small Cave and Small Spring, another consideration is in Small Cave early on, it hurts. You might run into Buddy, who can steal your stamina. And in Small Spring, and we've talked about this before, you get apple drops, which give you potentially more stamina. So does that have an impact on which one is going to give you the best stone return, do you think?
It makes it extremely close. My estimation is that Small Cave is very, very slightly better, but it's real slight. It's about 1% better.
So after using those stones for iron cups, what do we do next?
Yeah, so you'll eventually get, I believe it's crafting level 14, unlocks wooden shields, and then you start doing those too. So you craft wood into wooden shields, and you sell those too. Those require wood. You can get wood at Small Spring, I think. And you can also usually by this point have bought your forest, which is the best location for exploring for wood. So eventually, once you unlock your sawmill, you'll be able to get wood passively as well. But since we are earning towards our sawmill, we know we don't have that option yet. So you sort of can go back and forth a little bit, exploring between, by this point, you'll probably want Small Spring because you'll want some of those extra rare drops for some early help requests. Mm-hmm. The Small Spring, a little bit of forest, back to Small Spring, and just keep alternating those. And, craft your stuff up, sell it, and keep looping. That's the sort of simplest answer, especially if you are a more solo-oriented player. That's the easiest way to do it. There are other options, though, as far as initial early silver. One relatively common one, if you enjoy the fishing minigame, there are some good early achievements that give a lot of silver, including, I believe, the first time you get 1,000 streak, that just gives you 1 million silver straight up. So if you like the fishing minigame enough to do 1,000 in a row, then That'll get you your million real easy. There are other achievements in the game that reward silver. Some of them are not going to get you a million on their own, but some early stuff that's easy to overlook. Naming cows and naming chickens, I believe, give a couple thousand each. Early 1,000 masteries, so making 1,000 of an item will give you, I think, 10,000 silver. Lean on those as best you can. They're a good early source in addition to that core loop. And as a sort of side option, you can also ask for materials in the giveaway channel. Stuff like stone and wood. Once you have those passive productions up really high, some people will, I'm sure, judge me. I'm thinking of someone specific. You know who you are. I usually let a lot of my stone overflow if I'm just too lazy at a given hour to make a lot of horseshoes and sell them. So late game players usually have a ton of especially stone and often wood they are happy to give away. It's not going to make you extremely rich. If you ask in the giveaways channel, you'll probably only be able to get 5, 20, 50, whatever it is. But it's certainly enough to help you on your way.
Yeah, the giveaway channel is maybe some secret sauce for people that don't want to play as a single player game. There are most of the things that you can be given in there aren't worth that much, but there are a couple things that are worth over 1,000 silver each. That if people are willing to part with, can kind of jumpstart you. It seems like
those are the extra nice option if you want to get gold crops. Some of the gold fish are worth quite a bit as well, but those are a lot more rare than asking for stone and wood.
Yep. Why do you need 1,000 gold eggplants again? That first million. All right. Awesome. Anything else that we'd like to share as far as making that first million silver?
Make sure that you jump into help chat and ask questions as you run into them. If there's anything you don't understand, feel free to ask there or jump into Discord or Reddit if you've got any questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, coderanger, for taking some time to teach us how to make your first million silver.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
It is time for another player spotlight. I'm your host, Bhelogan, and today I have been left supervised. So no more fun with the unsupervised Bhelogan. Got a co-host today, Auggie.
Hey, no fun zone.
Let's make sure that this is as boring and dry as possible. If I'm out of line, you can turn on your teacher voice, set us straight.
I'll chat ban you.
There we go. All right. Well, today we have a special guest here with us for our player spotlight, Eli Love 3.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, and welcome to the podcast. So let's jump into the questions to get to know you a little bit better.
All right.
How did you learn about Farm RPG, and how long have you been playing?
Yeah. So I've been playing since late August. Specifically, I discovered it through Reddit. So I spent a lot of time on the iOS gaming subreddit, and I saw that Firestream had made a post on there about his text RPG that had already gotten some traction and was devoid of predatory in-app purchases and such. And the comments seemed very positive, so I thought I would check it out, and it really seemed like my style of game.
Here you are.
Yeah. I mean, in the past, I've kind of been into phone-based incremental style games, and I guess what really kept me around for Farm RPG is just I love the questing system, and the sense of progression, and also the community.
That's awesome. When we talked to Saf earlier, he was kind of the same way. It was a post on Reddit that drew him in.
Yeah. I mean, it was very compelling.
It's so cool to me that because I don't really use Reddit. My boyfriend does so much, and it's just really cool to me that you can just go and post whatever, and Firestream made a good call, just promoting it there. Because I feel like a lot of our user base come from seeing it on Reddit as opposed to other places. You should do a poll about that.
Yeah, for sure.
We have in the past.
For how you found out about the game?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's been polls in the past. If not here, maybe I'm thinking of Titan Conquest again, because it is very similar in that you get waves of players coming in from Reddit posts and so forth.
You could be right. Maybe he can do another one now that because if he did, it was probably a while ago.
Yeah, it's probably time.
I personally find that Reddit is just like a great way to research like things that you want to find. A lot of the time, if you just like look on the wiki of a subreddit, you can see like a recommended list of things, or you can do a search for like a specific style of game, and you can find it and find the most upvoted posts. And that's generally how I would find games on that subreddit.
Yeah, and it's, I feel like on Reddit, it's people are just going to be honest. If they think something's horrible, they're going to say so. If they think something's awesome, they're also going to say so. Because it's Reddit.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not. I think for the most part, people aren't being paid to hype something up, especially on that kind of a subreddit.
Yeah, at least it happens a lot less often, I feel.
All right, the bar is very high. In one sentence, describe Farm RPG.
All right, I put a lot of thought into this one. Farm RPG is a text-based, community-centric, sandbox incremental game with a strong focus on inventory management.
Huh.
That's pretty good.
That's really good.
Yeah, I figured I should probably break that down a bit, because it is a lot. But
one sentence.
Text-based is kind of obvious. Community-centric, I specifically said, because I feel like the motivation for achievement and progression is driven by the desire to either communicate it to others or to like see it on others' profiles. And I guess like I feel motivated when I see like all of the like super rares that I haven't collected yet, and I'm just like I got to get to that level.
It's that completionist part.
Yeah. Like I think like one of my biggest motivators in the game is just like getting all of my museum completed. I'm 10 items away at this point, but there's still some unobtainables for me.
There's some for everybody.
Yeah.
And the day that Firestream teased it with the community center, I was so upset.
I told everybody.
I personally thought that it was going to be doable. So I went hard. I put all of my runestone ones in, and I was in chat like, hey, do it. I want the gem. Firestream rolls in staff chat like 8 hours later. Like, nah.
It's not happening.
Like, he was just trolling us.
Speaking of the community center, I had no idea how much controversy that like that would have generated.
I don't understand it at all.
We'll have to have a deep dive discussion about that at some point.
Yeah, for sure. Because it like unearths like such a huge like separate conversation. But anyway, maybe I should continue talking about what I was saying. So sandbox, I said that because, and I feel like this isn't mentioned very often, but I feel like all objectives and achievements in this game are kind of suggestions, I feel. The real goal is to make your own goals. And I see that all the time. People choosing to focus on fishing or focus on masteries or the stake market or any such thing. And I think that's really cool, like how open it is.
There are so many ways to play. You have people that love to focus on item mastery like Auggie, and then you have people like myself and coderanger that love to figure out how to min-max, and there's no one right way to do it other than have fun.
Well, there is one wrong way to play, and that's to exclusively manual fish and do nothing else. Personal opinion. We got a couple people, like long-time players, that just manual fish and that's it.
That's all they do.
They don't even do the quests, so they'll never get to Minerva.
I would honestly be genuinely concerned. Like, do they have carpal tunnel syndrome? I mean,
It might.
Yeah. But I mean, manual fishing does have its purposes. Like when I feel kind of fidgety and I have to like attend a long meeting at work, manual fishing is like the thing to do.
See, I can't. if I do that, I'll lose my streak. For me, it's just max inventory of nets, tap, 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 tap.
I can't do the max inventory of nets and then tap, tap because I have that iOS bug where it just like puts up the translate.
Firestream fixed it. He fixed it the last few days. He fixed it because we were all like, hey, this is a thing that is happening. He's never been able to replicate it. So I think 3 or 4 of us went and took a screen recording and posted it on Discord instantly. And like,
I can't believe that. Wow, it's fixed?
I promise you it's fixed. Sometimes it'll still pop up at the bottom of the screen, but it doesn't interfere with tapping nets.
It is so much better.
Oh my gosh. And he fixed it. Like, he was just like, he didn't really know it was that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And then we were like, fix this, please. And then he just did.
Well, that's great. That changes everything, honestly.
With daily chores being tested right now, though, that's going to give people a new reason to fish, because it's something like catch 40 fish manually for 30 ancient coins. And that's fairly doable. That's not too painful.
Yeah.
I think mine today was 50. And like, it's not that I'm salty about the chore. I just like, I'm never going to get that merit badge because of the way that I am so determined to get it when I do. I want to go from farm pond and work my way to the end, just straight through, and I can't do it. I can't do it. The beginning areas are so slow.
I feel like I kind of want to work backwards, but I'm not sure. I feel like it might even be worse if I start out motivated and then like halfway through I'm like, oh, I can't do this. And I poured all that time in not to get anything out of it. I don't know.
Yeah, my highest streak is like, I don't know, like 6,800 in farm pond, and the rest of them are like, I don't know, 3,000 or below.
Yeah. I mean, like, just like that manual fishing quest line, what is it called again? The last one that gets the opposition hourglass, that one like added to a lot of my streaks.
I don't remember the name, and I don't remember any of the text because, frankly, I don't read the quests.
Excuse me?
More often than not.
Bhelogan?
Wait.
Did you or did you not sing a whole song?
I know. Coming from you.
Listen.
I am reporting you.
Sometimes you do things to teach yourself, all right?
Listen, I'm going to tell all the quest writers. I'm snitching.
Oh, they know. They're well aware.
You got to spend all that time on the spreadsheets. The spreadsheets are way more important than just like spending like 2 minutes reading the quest.
Well, let's get to something else that's important too. Eli Lev, where did your Farm RPG username come from?
It's pretty cryptic, honestly. It's my first name, my middle name, and the number 3.
Are you all right?
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult to have that sort of username. Face a lot of hardship, but
You know what? I have to say I understand.
Yeah. I heard your story behind your username, so it made me feel a little bit better. Really, this was based around like my mom and my grandmom, who both were very early adapters to computers and the internet, and their usernames were that way. And I kind of like picked up on it when I was like a kid.
It works.
But there is an interesting story about the 3, I would say. The reason why there's a 3 is because when I was 10 and I was creating online accounts for things for the first time, I was into Neopets, if you're familiar with that. So I had like multiple accounts to have like multiple pets, and the last account I used was Eli Lev 3. There was Eli Lev, and then Eli Lev 1, 2, and 3 is the most recent one. And I just kind of stuck with that. Honestly, thinking back to Neopets, I feel like Farm RPG probably wouldn't exist if Neopets hadn't existed. They're kind of similar in terms of how they're structured around community, and like kind of like community formed around a bunch of mini games and texts.
I'm going to put that in testimonials. Farm RPG would not exist without Neopets.
I'm 100% certain that's the case.
I'm not doubting you. I just think that quote,
yeah,
with no other context, is going to be repeated.
We could fact check that.
Yeah, either that or
with Firestream, but
Or West of Loathing.
West of Loathing was very fun. And that kind of segues into the next question of, besides farm RPG, what kind of games do you like to play?
Yeah, so probably a departure from like what people would expect from someone who frequently plays farm RPG, but like I'd say that like most of the games that I play that aren't on my phone, usually farm RPG is the only game I play on my phone at this point, but usually I like games that focus on exploration and story with puzzle elements, and an added bonus is a killer soundtrack. So
I agree with all of that.
So let me list off some games that I would consider like my favorite of all time. So Outer Wilds, Portal 2, Super Mario Galaxy, The Witness, Undertale, and probably lesser known is the Submachine series, which is available like on Flash platforms. Rest in peace.
Speaking of Undertale, have you played the Deltarune chapters 1 and 2 yet?
I haven't, and that's like part of my backlog. I have such a long backlog, and try not to feel guilty about it.
Yeah, I played through chapter 1. I got stuck on an optional boss fight, like right near the end, and I want to beat the boss, and I will not play chapter 2 until I do. But another really good game you might like is, do you have PlayStation, by the way?
I don't, unfortunately.
Ugh, never mind. I was gonna say Kena Bridge of Spirits is very good and like exactly all of the things you described. I think that the guy, what soundtrack did he make? The guy who did a soundtrack for something else that's insanely good made that soundtrack. I don't remember what it is, though. I should have been prepared.
I'll definitely check that out. I mean, there could be a possibility that either it was ported or there's like it's available on like PlayStation Now, which allows you to stream to your PC using PlayStation games. So, I mean, I could actually play it possibly.
Yeah, if it's on PlayStation Now, because it came out sometime last year, but it's very good.
awesome. I must be. You guys are making me feel old. Thinking about the games that I like, because I haven't had a console since the 90s. It's been only PC games since then, for the most part.
I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
I just have a PlayStation that most of the time for me is like a Netflix machine. But when there's a game I want to play, I can play it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you, Bhelogan. I mean, I mostly play PC games. And most of the games I listed out are PC. So, yeah. I kind of grew up without consoles. My parents didn't allow them. But, like, then as a sneaky kid, I was like, oh, I can play games on my computer and they won't even know. So,
I remember, like, back when I was in elementary school, I would walk to the library to play on, like, Nickelodeon's very short-lived, like, I think it was Nicktropolis or something. And it was, like, 3D. It was really, really bad. And I remember, like, I always played, like, the Tag and the Power of Juju world. And I think that was where my, like, PC gaming started. And now I occasionally will boot up Skyrim or Minecraft, but
yeah, I was all about the Flash games. Like those early Flash games, spent all my time on there because they were free, they were available.
you could play them at school.
Yeah, and I did frequently.
It's actually funny because a lot of the games that I played when I was in like middle school and high school on the computers, the kids today still play them. Like Duck Life is one. The balloons, tower defense, block swords. Like I played those when I was at the Boys and Girls Club summer camp in like 7th grade.
Block swords. Didn't that like kind of popularize the Sokoban genre of game, if I recall correctly? I don't know. That game sounds very familiar to me.
It's the one where you just use the keyboard and you move like this rectangle and you have to get the rectangle aligned with the hole.
Oh yeah, that's Sokoban. I have a high recommendation if you do like that genre of game. There's a game called Steven's Sausage Roll, and it has like the most like mind bending Sokoban style puzzles, and it's about rolling a sausage around so it gets cooked evenly.
Huh. What is it on, PC?
Yeah, it's on PC.
Send me a message with that because I will forget by the time we are done with this podcast.
Yeah, okay, I will.
I'm trying to think of other games. I mean, as far as mobile games, there's also Monument Valley. It's not free. I think I got it.
Oh, I love that game.
I got it free because Starbucks was doing a promotion. Like, they used to do free games of the week, like 5 years ago or something ridiculous like that. And I downloaded it, and I bought the second one when I used to live in New England, and I went to PAX East. I actually, like, met somebody on that who worked on the game in some way, and I have a shirt somewhere. It's very cool.
Wow, that is cool. Yeah, I have a whole bunch of suggestions for games within like the different genres I described. So if you want to hear some suggestions like afterwards, I can totally like send some over.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe at some point we can do like a game suggestions for people that play Farm RPG segment.
Yeah,
We could do that.
Are we boring you? Are we?
I was just going to say, in addition to wanting people to know what other games you like to play in mobile games, Eli Love, what's one thing that you wish the Farm RPG community knew?
Yeah. So this is like a more serious one, but I feel like it's important for people to know. I think that it's important to not take like this whole experience of like playing this game, interacting with the community, just like kind of this moment in your life that you have. Don't take it for granted, because there's going to be a time later in life where you're going to look back on this time and it's going to be like a fond memory for you. And one mistake that you can make during this time is to like focus on the negative aspects, or to like kind of like get frustrated, or maybe like take out like some negativity in the chat, which of course we discourage, but I know that a lot of people do sometimes. And it's just like very easy to get in that mindset. And one strategy I've found that helps is to recall your favorite moments of progression and accomplishment in the game and bring those moments to your brain more prominently, rather than focusing on like anything that's frustrating, and makes for a lot more of a rewarding experience, in my opinion.
I love that.
Very wise advice.
Thank you.
So what is one of those happy moments for you?
Definitely, it was a recent one, but getting this just happened yesterday, actually. Well, there's two moments that happened recently. Several days ago, I got to 4 times 99 all skills.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then yesterday, I finally, for the first time since I started playing this game, have an empty help request list.
Woohoo!
Also awesome.
Which is crazy. Like, there's nothing left until further update. I mean, there's of course masteries, but like it feels like I've reached the end game at this point.
That help request list will fill up again here pretty soon.
Yeah, I figured, but it's never been empty before. It's always like the updates have kept up with my progress. But
it's super cool too that like you've been playing since August and like the content is just always kind of there.
Yeah. When I first started playing, like I saw like the more hardcore players and the number of help requests they had completed, and it was like maybe like 180, 190. And now I'm at like 700 help requests completed.
Isn't that crazy? That's
power creep.
Most of them are 99 bottles, though.
Only 1/7 of them.
Yeah.
No, our quest team does really good work, except for corn jail.
Yeah.
No, I love the way that the game lets you grind. Like, it's because everything is achievable. Like, and it's not, you don't. I
Yeah.
remember when Parts Unknown came out and there was no pet lemur.
Yeah. Yeah, that was rough.
Like, I remember like way overpaying, and then I decided I'm gonna just go hunt for bugs myself once I did the quest, and then I'm gonna, make a little bit of that back of all that sweet, sweet orange juice. And then the lemur came out not too long after. I was like, aw.
Yeah. And now bugs are about as worthless as bugs are in real life.
Yeah, like I probably am maxed on all the bugs at all times.
Yeah. But I mean, part of the fondness of memories that I was talking about just now is just kind of like reminiscing on like how things have changed over time. Like what you consider trials and tribulations in the past are now kind of like walks in the park. And it's like, think of how far things have come in your personal progression, but not just that, like the progression of farm RPG and its mechanics.
Yeah, and that's something I try to do in chat from time to time, especially when I know newer players are in there. Sometimes like they'll complain about runestones, and I'll just put on like a little beard and sit in a rocking chair and say, I remember before Bhelogan existed. Not even before he came to town, before he even existed. And the wishing well was the other one. And Firestream improved the drop rates at some long time ago, but he did slightly.
Yeah.
Before pets also. So like for late game players, our main income is, those spheres, but for newer players, like that's like unfathomable.
Yeah. I mean, I remember that when I first started playing, most of the updates that I saw come out, like I kept track of the updates every day. In fact, one thing I did want to bring up in this discussion, I feel like part of the sense of progression and like the excitement that I get for this game is just like checking for updates every day and like seeing if there's any updates in the release notes, because they happen so frequently, and it's just always like an exciting time to see like what mechanic has changed.
Yeah, and I like the new thing that Firestream did where he actually put updates in the homepage and like put the date so like you could see if there was an update that day.
Yeah. So many quality of life improvements.
One thing that we've learned for sure, like if we want to get a new farm perk, all I have to do is update my perk tier list, and the next day, boom, like clockwork, every time there's a new perk to add.
Well, didn't you just updated it, didn't you?
Right, I did. And then the next day, was it Winomatic was the new one that we just had?
Yeah.
Have you gotten to adding the wheel ones yet? I haven't checked.
Yes, I did. I added them. I did. And then the next day it was Winomatic came out.
See, that's why I don't mess with tables. I don't want to update tables. So I don't.
Well, what if there was like some sort of SQL query that was sent directly into Bhelogan's brain, so then he knew instantly how to update it?
Well, Bhelogan might be a robot, so I would not be surprised. I mean, and I think Jessica also might be a robot because she like auto generates some of the tables that are in some of the pages.
Yeah, she's worse than me. I use a Python script just to convert CSV files into the tables for me, but she does the entire page with the PowerShell script or something like that. She
does some computer nerd thing that I could never and I will never. But we have a library to-do list staff page, and at the bottom of it there's it's red highlight, do not touch these pages, Jess auto generates them, and it's like a whole list. It's like the wishing well, the museum, I think museum completion, there's other ones too.
Yeah, I mean, I work as a data analyst, so I feel like I would be fully capable of doing this stuff technically, but it just astounds me like I feel like I wouldn't be able to invest the emotional energy into it, and I just find that incredibly impressive how much people devote to like crunching those numbers and making those spreadsheets and stuff.
Knowing that it will all change. Yep.
I just let them do that. I just make the colors pretty.
Yeah. And update the pet tier list, of course.
People got so mad at me when I put the capybara at the top, but it very clearly says that they are my favorites, that they are all 99s and you got silver to spend. I was very clear about that. And people got so mad at me. They were like, is this a joke? Why are you putting jokes in a page that was otherwise good content? But they didn't say that when I put the pet rock there.
Yeah.
Which was very interesting.
It is interesting. I feel like, like just speaking like personally, like my opinion, I feel like the pet rock, I feel like is a little bit more useful just because it like gives you like a passive source of carbon spheres, which I feel like I never bothered to.
Yeah, I'm in that same boat where I always need carbon spheres because I want to spin the Wheel of Borgin more, but I don't want to void my gems, specifically Jade.
So not to brag, but I almost took a selfie with a capybara today.
If I could swear at you without you having to edit it out, I would.
Yeah, we have a couple at the Brevard Zoo here in Florida. And we were there today, but they weren't quite close enough to the glass to get a good picture of them. So I didn't end up doing it. But
I'm gonna
capybaras
so good.
Yeah, but I feel like before I knew they existed, I would have thought they were like alien creatures. Like I didn't know that rodents existed that large and that cute. Yeah, I thought that was just like Princess Bride, but turns out it exists.
Yeah, no, they definitely might not be from this planet, but they live here now.
Yeah. And we're cool with that.
I'm very cool with that personally.
Yeah, me too.
I remember the first time that like they were brought up in the game was when Firestream put the tower in alpha. And everybody in spoilers chat was like really digging for information, as they do. And so I just put a picture of a capybara somewhere, and I named it Tower Spoiler. And like just enough people rolled with it that I was able to keep doing that. And then FFFF for short, just really like, bless his heart, went above and beyond with making all of those wonderful pages. And then, who was it? Somebody held like a haiku contest.
Oh my god.
I think it was, I don't even know how to say the username. I say Wes in my head. WSEY54. I say Wes. I know that's not the proper pronunciation. But he ran like a whole haiku contest, like in the comments, and like gave gold to the people that I thought were the best haikus. And we just talked about them enough that Firestream was like, yeah, I like capybaras too.
Yeah, he had to contribute there.
And then he personally messaged me like on Discord saying capybara in alpha, and I was at work, so I really could not check it out. And then like not even 15 minutes later, he said capybara in live game.
Wow.
I was very hype about that. I still am.
Feel like we've learned a lot of interesting facts about the capybara.
Yeah.
Auggie, do you have an interesting question you'd like to ask Eli Lev about facts?
Let me think. Because that's not what the prompt says. It says, tell us an interesting fact about yourself.
That's the question.
Yeah.
But you said, is there a question that I would like to ask him?
You don't want to ask him the question in the list?
No.
All right, we're going impromptu here. Buckle up.
Okay.
Are you an interesting person?
No, yeah. I, it depends on the day. I feel like I can be an interesting person when I put my mind to it, but then there are other days where I'm just like, just gonna like sit around and I mean, I wouldn't call playing farm RPG like not an interesting thing to do, but probably to anyone who isn't part of this community, they kind of like be like, oh, okay. You know, like,
Well, if you had to pretend that you were an interesting person, what would you say?
okay. I mean, I feel like that's close enough to the original question that I'll just say my prompt. So, I feel like one of the most interesting things about me is that I have a passion for origami folding, and it goes beyond just like folding paper cranes. I've been getting into like more like high intermediate complex folds, and really what that entails is just like taking a sheet of paper. It has to be a square sheet of paper and nothing else, no cuts, and folding it into like increasingly intricate patterns. They can be animals, they can be architecture, they can be random objects. And it's insane what people are able to do with that sort of art form. And I've been trying to learn how to hone in my skills on that. I'm at the high intermediate level right now, but I want to be able to fold more complex origami. And once you get to that level, it's a lot less about like looking at step-by-step instructions and more about just like taking a sheet of paper and that already has the folds like already made in it and like figuring out how it collapses together, which is exceedingly difficult, but it's possible. And I love it.
That's super awesome. I love that. One of my students actually is super, super obsessed with origami. You know, he cuts the paper and he uses tape sometimes to make really intricate stuff. Like he's made like not full-size furniture, but he's made like tables, he's made like hangable Christmas ornaments that like are like a full circle. He's made like those little frogs.
That's great.
Yeah, he made a camera once and like gave it to me. I was like,
yeah. I mean, that's how it started for me. Like I was like 9-10 years old. Like didn't really relate much to my classmates. Diagnosed with Asperger's, you know, the deal. And like one of the ways I could express myself was through paper folding, and that's what I did all the time. And I just really got a lot out of that. And I've kind of kept with it up until now. And I just really appreciate like the fact that there's a way that I can express myself artistically that isn't a departure from what I like about puzzle solving, because origami is essentially puzzle solving.
absolutely, it is. But it also involves a little bit more like coordination and the ability to, you know, to fold something properly. Like I've tried to do guided origami where the lines are already there, and I can't do it.
Yeah, it's definitely not for everyone. It's really niche, and I just feel proud that I'm able to do something that a lot of people like can't even fathom doing, and it's just a real confidence booster.
Yeah, flex your origami. I want to see an origami capybara.
That would be cool.
You know, I might actually do that.
I could make an origami pet rock.
I'm pretty good with the boats. I can do boats. The really simple ones.
I can make an origami snowball. It takes about like 5 seconds. You just take a sheet of like printer paper and crumple it up.
If I did the pet rock, I would have to probably use some tape though for the eyes.
Get some googly eyes on it.
Yeah.
Well, that defeats the rules. They're like origami purists are like so against any sort of like, back in the 60s it used to be okay to make cuts, but not anymore.
No googly eyes.
Origami elitist.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope we can maybe see some pictures of your origami sometime, post it on Reddit or somewhere else. That would be cool to see.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. I could send some over. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Eli Love, for taking some time for our player spotlight today. It was great to have you on and great to get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, same here. And, it's nice to hear a voice behind the username. And yeah, I hope to be able to like interact with the community more often. I've usually kind of been a lurker, but I thought like recently that I would decide to reach out more, and this has been like a great experience.
Hey, I called you out in chat today and you answered, so it's good.
I had fun.
Yeah, me too.
And Bhelogan, I did not forget that you said that you don't read the quest, by the way. I did not forget that.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm never going to forget that either. I thought like you would be the last person.
Concludes this week's episode of the Farm RPG Podcast. A huge shout out to Milkbark, coderanger, Auggie, and Eli Love 3 for chatting with me and being featured in this week's episode. If you've enjoyed any of the content you've heard, make sure to reach out to those people in game and let them know that you liked it. We appreciate hearing from you. As always, you can reach out to me in game or on Discord if you've got questions, comments, feedback on the podcast. We will also have a form soon on the podcast library page where you can submit your questions and who you'd like to have answer them as well. Thanks for listening.